Hey everybody, we're going to talk rookie landing spots today from the NFL Draft. If you like what you hear, go on and click subscribe. Check out our other videos. We did a whole rookie spotlight series, and enjoy.
In a world where losing in your fantasy football league isn't an option, we present to you Triple Coverage Podcast. What's up, guys? Whoa. Hello, everybody. He's got big hands up. Travis hasn't said 2 words. Did you want to say anything at all, or just you want to sign on this episode? You can't catch a damn cold, so I mean, his catches and targets don't relate. 1, 2, 3, free and Rolls Royce. Yeah.
3, 2, 1.
Hey everybody, welcome to the podcast, Triple Coverage Podcast. We're here together with the boys of TCP. I'm Travis Sutton. I'm here with James Up and Jay Up.
What's up, guys?
Whoop whoop!
And today we're going to get into some of the rookie quarterback landing spots. We're just going to hit on the quarterbacks that are coming out in this year's draft and what we think about where they landed and maybe their fantasy relevance. Maybe even some undrafted free agents. I don't even know if there's any worth talking about, but we'll find out. But before we get into that, how was your guys' Cinco de Mayo?
I didn't go out. Did you go out for Cinco de Mayo or no?
I'm trying. Oh yeah, no, I went to a concert. I was literally going through like, what did I do with Cinco de Mayo?
You went to Tech 9, right?
I went to a Tech 9 concert. Yeah, it was great as always.
How many times have you seen Tech 9?
It's definitely over 18, but I'm not. It's like between 18 and 20.
That's crazy.
Because like we started going in 2002, I think, and he comes to Vegas at least once a year. Sometimes he comes twice a year, so it might be more than that. But I try to see him every time. There was 2 years I missed, and I regretted it.
Yeah, but it's he's coming out with like an album like basically once
Every
a year,
year,
so
yeah.
it's not like it's the same old stuff over and over again. It's all these new songs.
This last one that he did was completely. He played probably 12 different songs that I never heard him play live. So every time I go there, there's something new, and that's what kind of keeps me going back. If it was the same show over and over, it would be a little repetitive. But every time I go there, I never know what he's gonna play. He always plays like an hour and 40 minutes, and usually just kills it the entire time. So if you get a chance, Tech 9, go see him.
He would probably get bored playing the same show over and over and over again.
You never know.
Does he still play like the real old stuff, like Ambatel?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Is that what
Samples, he dabbles in everything.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, he does like 1 minute and then cuts, and then does another minute and a half, another song, and then cuts, and then it's just nonstop.
Little fun fact about that, Travis, is the first time we saw Tech 9, he had the song I'm a Tell just came out on the radio. Like it was just starting to get radio play, and he actually opened for the Insane Clown Posse at Huntridge Theater. And so we actually went for the Insane Clown Posse, and we're like, oh, we'll give this guy a try. And then that song came on, like, oh, this is the song from the radio. Like we didn't even realize that he's the one that sang it. And he like basically won over the entire crowd. So now all the Juggalos that follow ICP
Oh, now Tech 9
are all Tech 9 fans.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good.
It's
over
fine.
there.
It's fine.
It's fine. Everything's fine.
Take it easy.
But yeah, what Cinco de Mayo? Did you do anything crazy? Did you drink any cervezas?
Me? No, I went to a lantern festival, light festival.
I saw that there ended up being like 8,000. Was it 3,000 or 8,000? I think 8,000. I think it said.
Oh, I don't know.
So
about
3
that.
then. It was one of those two.
Travis said it was 3,000, but it felt like 8,000.
Okay. Because the energy was so high, probably.
It was off the chain.
So you went out there and you build your own lantern, you light it, and then let it
I
go.
don't necessarily build it, but
Yeah, it comes in a little pack. I thought.
right. It's already built.
Tell them how you built your packet. How you built your lantern, Travis.
I didn't build it. You get your lantern, you open it up, you write on it, whatever you kind of do for the light festival, lantern festival. I took the family. There's a lot of families out there, so it was kind of a good family kind of thing. A little crowded. I think they had more show up than they expected. Yeah, I was out in Mesquite, Nevada, and off in a little canyon somewhere. So once they lit the torches, like all the soot or whatever from the torches kind of just hung around real low. So after a while, your eyes kind of started burning. And,
Sounds awesome.
The wife was complaining about her throat burning, and like, it was pretty rough. So they finally lit them off, and it was amazing. It's amazing to see it actually happen in person. Like it's literally just like watching like some of the videos we saw like on Facebook. It's like, oh, let me get some tickets to this, and it's an event for sure.
You paid to do
Yeah,
it? Oh.
yeah, because you get the lantern and everything included. But to Jay's point that he's trying to make, when it came time for me to get my lantern going, it had dried. It's a little moist when it comes out of the package, and it dried a little bit, and so like my thumb went right through it. And so I didn't launch my lantern,
What?
but my daughter and
Rip City.
That's
and, yeah, Rip City for
Not
sure.
Portland though.
Damn.
We launched theirs, and it's funny because there's the learning curve. They kind of tell you the stage is a million miles away, and
Is that a sign or no?
They kind of, yeah, I should have been a little more careful.
Yeah.
They kind of give you instructions on how to do it, but I don't think hardly anybody's paying attention. I seen
for sure.
some girl like because you got to light the little kind of, it's not charcoal, but it's like this little kind of thing that kind of flames while it goes up into the air to keep it going. And people were holding it too long over the flame, and it was just like raging inside the lantern before it even took off. And like I saw one girl's lantern literally catch on fire in her hands, and like needless to say, hers didn't get launched either. And I saw her standing over there with like ashes flying up, and it's like,
don't try this at home, guys. Seriously, don't play with lanterns.
there's a very specific way to kind of do it, so it's a slow rise. I showed a video to one of you guys.
I saw it.
Let go of their lantern, and it was literally on Mach 4.
Yeah, it shot out like a rocket, and I was like, what did this guy do? I was like, what did he put in his lantern? He goes, like, he held it a little too long.
Propane.
Like, he was holding it, and it was, like, shaking back and forth, and it just, like, took off like a rocket. I was like,
it
geez.
literally, like, sped past every other lantern that was already launched. Like,
There you go.
I think he thought it was a race.
He wins, yeah.
Did it even cross your mind for half a second to be like, Brooklyn, I'm sorry, your lantern ripped.
No way.
Let's get mommy and daddy's up.
well, you write on them, so she would know hers. So you kind of draw or write, or
And then Braden was just left out?
he was just hanging out, going cuckoo batty, hanging out in his little pack and play.
There you go.
So yeah, it was a good time for the family.
Shout out to Pack and Place.
Happy Cinco de Mayo. You guys ready to talk about some quarterbacks now?
Let's do it.
All right. So, where do you guys want to start?
Number 1 pick overall.
Numero
Surprise
uno.
to a few.
Didn't
Went
have to get too far, yeah.
The Cleveland Browns. So I like the landing spot. Actually, I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I think what the Cleveland Browns are doing with that organization and some of the other pieces they put in there before the draft and during the draft and last year's draft, I think that team is definitely on the incline, and I think he's the perfect kind of quarterback to go in there, get in there now because of his accuracy and stuff and his leadership qualities to be able to make an immediate fantasy impact first year, honestly.
I think he can
Who
too.
are we talking about? Baker Mayfield?
Yeah.
No one said his name yet. Okay, Baker Mayfield. Go ahead, Jay.
I think that he has a really good chance of overtaking Tyrod Taylor midway through the season. I mean, it all depends, obviously, how the Browns go. If Taylor comes out, looks terrible, loses the first 4 games, there's going to be more pressure to put Baker Mayfield in.
See, what do you think about the head coach saying that obviously Tyrod's still our starting quarterback? It's not even in question. Is that coach speak, obviously?
It's coach speak, but it wasn't like he came out and said, hey, Tyrod Taylor is going to start every single game this year as long as he stays healthy. He didn't say that.
Well, nobody pigeonholed themselves into the corner. Like
Correct. So he said, Tyrod Taylor's our starting quarterback. Cool. That could be through the preseason. That could be the first quarter of the first game. Let's not forget that when Deshaun Watson was drafted by the Texans, that Bill O'Brien came out and said Tom Savage is our starting quarterback. How long did he last?
A half.
Yeah.
1/2.
So I don't put that in any kind of weight in anything like that.
I just imagine him, like Travis was saying, coming in and kind of winning over the locker room and kind of showing the work ethic of being the first guy there, and like just that whole mentality of being a walk-on 2 different times in his college career shows you that he just outworks everyone that's around him. So I'm not worried because it's the Cleveland Browns, like it is what it is, but I'm just worried that in that locker room it might be a little split of by the time week 1 comes, if they all have decent OTAs and preseasons and whatever may have you, that Mayfield might be winning over that locker room, and then what do? Like, now you're stuck in a situation where you kind of have to play Tyrod, but do you? That's what I'm saying. Do you?
He could win this in preseason. Like, he can win this in OTAs and preseason. Baker Mayfield I'm talking about now. I think he has every chance to do it. They've put plenty of weapons around him for him to succeed. They have a decent offensive line, so I think they've put him in a spot where he can succeed, and it's may the best man win.
I think he does win, and I think that's
week 1
in preseason, and yeah, for sure. I think he's the starter day 1. I think he does come in and he kind of wins over. I think you don't want. I don't think there's any kind of split if like they're both having good whatever. Because if you're the team, you want one guy to be the guy the whole way. You don't want to switch up. So I think from everything we've heard about this kid, and even from the fact that they stepped up and drafted him number 1 because of his presence. When he walks in the room, you know it. You saw him at the Senior Bowl, rah and in there with everybody on every play. Like, he's the quintessential, like, leadership-wise quarterback, and he's got some of the skills. Yeah, he's not the prototypical size kind of guy, but there's guys in the league that are thriving in the league, and he's got all.
He's got the
attributes
passion.
to be able
It's
to
a,
do
it's a
that,
passion to it. He loves to play, and he wants to play. He wants to be the starter. And you know what? It'd be different, I guess, if they gave Tyrod a gigantic contract to come there and then drafted him. Clearly, they didn't do that because they had the number 1 pick. They knew they were going to go quarterback anyway. So I don't think by any means they're locked into Tyrod Taylor. I think that Cleveland is going to do what Cleveland always does, and a lot of times they pull a guy either too early or they put somebody in too early. They don't give him a fair enough chance, and I just don't know if it would be the best thing for Baker Mayfield's career to let him win the starting job and immediately put him in week 1, and all of a sudden now he's on a new team in the NFL. He might lose a couple games to begin with. At that point, you kind of have to stick with Mayfield and ride it out. It would be tough to bench him and then put Tyrod in and say, here you go, man, now you can have your job back. What we thought was wrong. It's messy.
Was it ever his job? He's never started a game for
Correct.
the guy, so
Correct. That's true.
It's not like he was the starter last year, and it's like, well, he's still our guy.
That's what the coach should say then. He should say, hey, look, it's best man win.
You can't stir up.
No, you don't want to do that. You want to go with a veteran and say this guy's our quarterback, and because you don't want these heavy expectations. Like if Mayfield wins it in preseason,
but that's what I'm worried about. The
Okay, but if
preseason
he
he's
wins
going
it-
against the second and third defenses, and so what? He might look like a damn all-star, and then all of a sudden he's like, oh shit, week 1 we play the Pittsburgh Steelers defense in Pittsburgh, or whatever, whoever it is, and then what? Then
Not
it's going to be a
necessarily,
little
though.
different.
You're
Well,
telling me
of course,
there's
but-
going to be games where he's facing the number 1s. Like you're not going to just give everything to Tyrod Taylor.
But if he's going to be the starter, is what I'm saying. Most likely,
I
Mayfield's
think
coming
it'll be
in second half.
decided. And the one thing I do hate, going back to when we broke him down in our rookie spotlight series, is everyone comparing him to Johnny Manziel at the very start. Because now I hate that comparison. I think that Johnny Manziel is more of a cockiness, whereas he's just very sure of himself. Like he's not like cocky. It's just like he knows what he can do. He knows his limits, and I don't think anything about that comparison whatsoever anymore.
Yeah, I think skill-wise they're completely different too. I think Johnny's just a schoolyard kind of player. This kid, he's got some skill. This kid's got some skill,
And he's just confident. I don't think it's the cockiness, like, hey, I'm better than you. Like I've never heard him come out and say that. Like, hey, I'm better than this guy. I can do this. He's just confident. He knows what he can do.
He's a competitor, I think. So I definitely don't think there's much of a competition, but I think they have a good solid backup in Tyrod. I think you want to get this guy in sooner than later. Number 1
Really?
pick, the pressure and expectations are already there. I mean, at some point you can't get any more expectations and pressure. It's like you got to get in there and perform. You're already a number 1. You already were kind of not bashed, but like they thought other guys should be taken ahead of you. So he has that mentality anyway as a walk-on. So I think that would be the best thing for him.
Okay, well, he is going as the number 1 quarterback in rookie drafts. He's going right now. His ADP, his average draft position, is going at number 19 overall, which is in the 2nd round, the 7th pick of this, right? 7th pick of the 2nd round.
1 quarterback league rookie draft.
Yeah, 1 quarterback rookie draft. He's going number 19. So this is the first time for us seeing quarterbacks go off in the 2nd round, and he's going right in the mid-2nd round. So
in
12 teams, by the way.
leagues for you guys, not your specific team or league, but is that too early for you?
Yes.
Would you take a Baker Mayfield or a quarterback at that point?
Yeah. I would.
I could if, again, like not my specific team, but if I was a little bit weak at quarterback and I didn't want to sit there and try to scavenge through the waiver wire and try to make trades for a quarterback, then yeah, I would for sure I would. But if I still have my 2 quarterbacks or whatever and I'm okay, I don't want to take a guy. I'd rather take a receiver or a running back that has a chance to start in a year or 2 rather than a quarterback, and I'll just roll with what I have. But I definitely see the value in Baker Mayfield because if he does come out and he does succeed, he could be the quarterback for the next 5 to 7 years and you're set. But
who's around him in ADP?
He's not a quarterback.
You have Mike.
Would you take St. Brown before you would take Baker Mayfield?
Equanimous St. Brown. Yes.
Equanimous
St. Brown. Yes, I would. I would take Kalen Ballage ahead of him. Anthony Miller, Dante Pettis, Jasicki. I would take all those guys ahead of him. Yeah.
Well, I might take 1 or 2 of those ahead of him.
Traquan Smith, DJ Chark, maybe even Kalen Ballage, even.
No.
You didn't take guys that were drafted on whatever day over like the number 1 overall pick. Even if you're set at quarterback and you got a taxi squad, you don't need to depend on him in the first year anyway.
For 2 reasons only, though. Cleveland Browns. That's it.
I would maybe do Pettis and Miller ahead of Baker Mayfield, but I'm not taking St. Brown or Ballage.
Jasicki?
No, I'm not taking Gesicki over.
Antonio Callaway?
No.
Sean Hamilton?
No, I wouldn't take a tight end over him.
All right.
Not in this class.
Let's move on so we can get through the rest of these guys here. Number 3, the Jets actually traded up with the Colts to get this pick. Obviously, Saquon Barkley was taken number 2 by the Giants, so Sam Darnold, second quarterback off the board.
You think when they traded up, they were expecting to get Baker Mayfield here?
Yes, but I think they were happy with getting Darnold still.
Yeah, I think it's a decent consolation prize, for sure. So this kid was talked about a lot as going the number 1 overall to the Browns for a long time. The Josh Allen smokescreen is what it came out to be for Josh Allen. So I think it was seriously this guy or Baker Mayfield. They let this guy slide. The Jets take him at 3. They get a prototypical sized kid who's got some work to do, but from all accounts, it seems like he is, for some, the best quarterback in this draft, or right there in that 1-2 conversation.
I think it's different than the Mayfield situation. I think this is a situation where I think you want Darnold to sit a little bit. He's only 20. So he's a young guy, and he's going to have a lot of learning to do, and that was the knock on him was like the turnovers and stuff like that. He'll learn that, and I think he will be a good quarterback. You have Josh McCown, who's playing in front of him, and you also brought in Teddy Bridgewater, but they signed him to a really, really cheap deal. So they may not keep 3 quarterbacks, but I think McCown starts week 1, and I think you try to ride McCown as far as you can before Darnold jumps in and takes over. I think this is the opposite situation of Mayfield.
I think Darnold, didn't they already come out and say Darnold was going to start? I saw something that said he's going to be the first rookie quarterback to start.
No, I saw Todd Bowles, who's the head coach. I saw him during a press conference, and he kind of made a joke about it. Like someone said, "How does Darnold look?" And he like went way over the top, like as like a joke, like he was mocking them. He's like, "The best I've ever seen. I got to get this kid in right away. He's starting week 1. He's the best thing that's since sliced bread." Like he was like going over the top.
You did a wrestling promo?
Yeah, like he started like screaming.
He's like, "Let me tell you something,
He
brother."
was pounding the table. Like he's like, "I've never seen a practice better than this kid." Like I think he was making a big joke. If you watch it,
I understand that he had a lot of issues with the the
turnovers.
Turnover. Yeah, I'm reading on the screen right now. He turned the ball over 36 times, 22 interceptions, and 14 lost fumbles in only 24 games. That's ridiculous. I mean, that's a lot of turnovers. That's just being super careless with the ball, not only in the pocket, kind of holding the ball with one arm type of thing, but also clearly he has no issues with trying to get the ball into small windows, but he's not very good at it, is what it looks like. But again, that's got to be fixed. And the NFL only gets faster and only gets harder. So if he's turning the ball over 36 times in 24 games, they need to fix that before he steps anywhere near the starting quarterback, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I think he needs at least a year.
I actually would like to see him be able to start as well.
I would too, just to see what he has. But
I think he's gonna be really good.
What are you worried about with the Jets? Like if you do start him, are the Jets planning on going to the Super Bowl? No. So
yeah, this is another one where it's like it's best to learn on the job sometimes.
Like what are you waiting for, right?
When you have upper echelon talent, I think it's better for them to learn on the job because they're already kind of well equipped, and there's no better way to learn than to get out there and make those mistakes and learn from them. I think. As long as, with the OTAs and training camp and going to preseason, if he's kind of shown that he can kind of take care of the ball, then I think this kid, you should probably give him a shot. I would like to see him get the shot over McCown as well.
I think if he starts week 1, I think if he starts week 1 and plays the whole season, I think he leads the NFL in interceptions. Bold prediction.
Well, he's actually going as a 4th quarterback off the board in dynasty rookie drafts. Ahead of him was Baker Mayfield, Lamar Jackson, and Rosen. And then he's actually going as number 26 overall, which is the 2nd pick of the 3rd round. I mean,
that's a good spot for him, though.
That's not that bad, yeah.
I would take him in the 3rd round.
That's where I would envision all my quarterbacks going because I like the position players better. So I think that any pick between the 301 and on is where I kind of draw the line for me to take a quarterback. But if somebody does want to take a quarterback earlier than that, like I'm okay with it because sometimes it does work out. But for me, I like to load up on the other positions before I worry about quarterback, especially in a 12-team league when you're only starting 1. There's plenty of quarterbacks available that can get you by.
For sure, I agree with that sentiment as well. But I mean, there's a drop off kind of the way it shook out this year with the guys getting drafted and where they got drafted. It seems like the 2nd round isn't as juicy as we thought it was going to be.
For sure.
And
a lot of guys dropped.
If you're going to get a quarterback and he's got like 1st round pedigree, he's got the job, he's going to get the chance, like, a la Jared Goff and that kind of stuff. Even if he comes out and just looks terrible the first year, like, he's going to be on your taxi squad hopefully anyway. And,
right.
if you're going to get a franchise guy and you're going to get him young, then yeah, I could see reaching for him in the second round.
And you can wait on him in your dynasty draft or your dynasty league.
Yeah, if there's nobody else you really like, I'd rather take him than a third or fourth day wide receiver.
And that's the point, is the receiver's not that deep this year, and so you have a tier of wide receivers that is literally up for grabs. I mean, you have probably a good 8 running backs that are possible studs. Possible. Receivers is like this one big tier that's like, I could take this guy, or I could take this guy, or I could take this guy. You might as well go with the guy that they want to be there. Like this guy is the future of the Jets.
Agreed.
Okay.
All right,
Anything
let's move
else
on.
about Sammy Darn? No.
Let's move on to a guy that I personally don't like whatsoever.
God dang, why does everyone hate on him so hard? I like him.
Okay, the news on him in college, was everyone
Who we
all
talking
they want to
about
talk
first?
about. This is Josh Allen.
Taking number 7 overall to the Buffalo Bills, who traded up to get
Right.
him.
They traded up to
clearly
get
got their guy, right?
Now, the knock on him in college was that he had no good competition, and when he played good competition, he didn't rise to the occasion, and everyone talked about completion percentage. And I know it's 56% completion percentage because that's all everyone talked about during the NFL draft. And then they came out and said, well, he didn't have any weapons around him. He didn't have anybody good. So who takes him? Buffalo. What weapons do they have in Buffalo? What are they surrounded him with?
A couple of pea shooters.
They surround him with the veteran LaShawn McCoy. Okay. Who else? Who else is surrounding him
Kelvin Benjamin.
to help him succeed?
Kelvin Benjamin, Charles
Zay
Clay,
Jones.
Zay Jones. Obviously, these
I'll
aren't
pass.
world beaters. Okay, these aren't world beaters, but they haven't had a throwing quarterback throw to them. They've had Tyrod Taylor, who's a scrambling quarterback that I would argue is pretty inaccurate himself. So at least now you have a guy with a bigger arm that can throw way downfield and maybe open it up a little bit for LaShawn McCoy. Whereas before, with Tyrod, are you really scared of these guys? No, but you probably still aren't as wide receivers for your defense. But if you have a guy come out there that's slinging the ball all over the damn field, that can throw it 60 yards or 70 yards on just at will, it might open up things for the running game, which in turn will open up things in the passing game. And I think that it's not going to be as bad as everyone's making it sound. So A.J. McCarron is okay as a starter. He's more of like an accurate, not lose the game type of guy and not make mistakes. Where I don't think Josh Allen's going to come in and start right away. I think they're going to work on his mechanics. They're going to work on his accuracy and other things and scale back his arm strength maybe a little bit. And I think that he'll be fine. Starting next year, I think that he'll be the starting quarterback there. And by that time, they can add some talent around him.
I think he'll be a starter as well. I'm just saying that out of the 5 top quarterbacks, all that got drafted in the first round, he's my 5th quarterback out of those 5 guys. He's the one I like the least. And if you're going to pick a bust, this is my bust.
No, I disagree.
Yeah. If there's a bust, it could very well be Josh Allen.
No.
I think on the flip side, I agree with what you said. If he's able to do those kind of things and sling the ball around and make some plays, yeah, it's definitely going to work out well. But if you got a guy who's slinging it around, but he's throwing it at everybody's feet or throwing it over their head, or more often than not, it's not very accurate. It's a drive killer, and that could hurt a lot too as well. But yeah, I agree. He should probably sit for a while. See, that's the thing. I don't know, man. I could see, look, if he does well in OTAs and looks like he can make some reads and be fairly accurate. It's hard to say, don't give this kid a shot.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. You want to see what you have.
All he has to beat out is A.J. McCarron. It's not like he's trying to beat out Cam Newton or Drew Brees. He's got to beat out A.J. McCarron.
A lot of these, though, depend on how the other quarterback does at the start of the season. I think that McCarron's leash is not, it's not like they owe him anything. They're not, invested in him that much. So if he starts off the first 6 games and goes 2-4, why not throw Josh Allen out there to see what he can do? But I think he needs a lot of work with his mechanics and just toning it down a little bit and knowing that, look, this is the NFL. You can't just throw the ball 95 miles an hour and hope for the best. You have to have some kind of accuracy behind your throws, and I think he'll be fine once he realizes that he doesn't have to do everything. You have LaShawn McCoy there now. He's going to be there for at least a couple more years. He's a talented top 6 or 7 back. He actually has a couple of guys around him. I know it's not the greatest set of receiving corps, but come on.
How awkward is it going to be the first time that he meets Catherine Webb, which is A.J. McCarron's wife now?
I don't know. I would just say, look, I agree, but I would just say, look, I was a kid. I didn't know any better. You're still hot and everything, but I apologize. So what are you going to do?
I think it's going to be
You
kind
don't
of
wanna be
awkward.
rude.
When did TCP turn to TMZ?
Yeah.
What happened?
I think it's going to be awkward city. Obviously, we talked about this previously. Josh Allen, about 4 years ago when he was 17, on his Twitter account, he went on and just, gushed about Catherine Webb, which is A.J. McCarron's then girlfriend. Remember that Brent Musburger telecast?
Yeah, I remember.
He did mush it.
Very creepy.
Very creepy. The camera kept going to her. Catherine Webb, she was like a Miss whatever USA. He just kept making tweets about her, and so now he's in Buffalo backing up AJ McCarron, and
Now they're married with a
now
kid.
they're married with a kid. I think I read she's 29, he's 26, so obviously she likes younger guys.
Who's 26?
Alan's 21. AJ McCarron is.
Oh, that's it? I thought McCarron was a little older.
No, he's 26 and she's 29. Here comes Josh Allen, who's 21. Does
She's
he
like,
take AJ McCarron's job and his wife?
she's like, I've had the old bull. I want the. Was it on Step Brothers?
Is it a young? Yeah, it's not young stud.
No,
Is
it's
it?
like bull and calf or something. I want to try the young calf. Anyways, okay, Josh Allen in rookie drafts is going number 34 overall in the ADP. 34, you're talking back into the third round,
Yep.
and he is the fifth quarterback taken, like Jay said, after Darnold and Lamar Jackson and Rosen, Mayfield, all those guys.
Yeah, he's definitely probably. You don't want to try to depend on him first year, and
Correct.
that'll be,
He's going around guys like Deion Kane, Mark Walton, Mark Andrews, Jamon Moore, that range.
Yeah, especially in star one.
That's a tough.
If you get him for value, yeah, snag him.
I agree.
All right, next on the list, another first round, one of 5 first-round picks. This is Josh. Chip on his shoulder, Rosen, taken 10th. Arizona traded up to get him. They got their quarterback to replace Carson Palmer. They got Sam Bradford there, but he's made of glass, so he could he could win the job too, or get in very early with an injury or some bad play from Sam Bradford. And they got some decent weapons around him. Good running back, good receiver, young rookie coming in that I think they either went to high school with. Like he's played with Christian Kirk before. So.
He didn't go to high school with them. They played on like the high school All-American teams.
Okay.
And they in practice together. So he goes way back. He knew him in high school, but I don't think they played in the same school in high school. They just played on the All-American teams together.
I think he has the best landing spot.
Me too.
First year, immediate impact.
100% agree.
Skill level to get in there and like hit the ground running, and the fact that he feels like he's the best quarterback in the draft. He reminds me of Aaron Rodgers with the chip on the shoulder. Not saying talent wise, but like he's just mad at the world and thinks the world wronged him in some way, and he always has that underdog kind of chip going on. So I think that could fuel him definitely the first year.
I think it's a great landing spot. And the one other thing I like about his landing spot in Arizona is that even if Bradford does start right away, they don't have to change the playbook. Like they're very similar style of quarterback. So if Bradford goes down with an injury or he, just is not playing as well, Rosen slides right in. They don't have to change the playbook around for him. It's gonna be the same type of skill set.
Yeah. You?
I don't know. I feel the same. I think Rosen's got a great opportunity in Arizona, especially with Christian Kirk coming in, David Johnson, like you said, Larry Fitzgerald's there. I think he's not going to be the starter week 1. I don't think that they're going to give it to Bradford, but I think that in his best interest, he should sit behind Bradford for a year. But that might not even be the case. He might get kind of thrust into the starting position because of injury or because of whatever else. Arizona lost a couple of key pieces on defense. I'm not sure if Arizona is going to be competing this year to get to the playoffs because their division. Rams bulked up a lot. Seattle is just okay, but San Francisco is bulking up now with Jimmy Garoppolo. They got a couple free agents in McKinnon, so I think their division is going to be really tough this year. And I don't know if they're super anxious to get Rosen in there in that spot. You know what I mean? If you start off with 1-4, 1-5, it's like let's get Rosen in there and see what we have. I just don't know if they're going to be wanting to do that, or they just let Bradford kind of finish out the year. I'm just kind of, I'm iffy on Rosen starting right away.
I don't think Bradford cares because he just goes from team to team every year getting a $20 million contract, so he'll just go on to the next team.
Yeah,
for
but
$20
every
million
time
next
that
year.
he's lost his starting job, it's been because of injury.
Right.
Like he's coming over to all these teams as the starter, and then gets hurt, and then loses the position, and
Right.
never gets it back.
I'll make a bold prediction again and say that Sam Bradford won't play all 16 games this year.
Is that a bold prediction?
No, it's not.
Huh.
Which means that Rosen's going to be starting probably sooner rather than later. Where's
So
he going
between,
to
so
ADP?
between Rosen and Mayfield, do you think Rosen
I like
starts
both those guys.
first? No, who do you think starts first?
No, I think that Mayfield starts first.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm gonna
More fantasy points this year, Josh Rosen or Mayfield?
That's tough. I think Mayfield's slight edge,
I'll say.
but it's going to be close. I think it's not going to be like
Yeah, I'll say
200
Mayfield.
point difference or anything.
Okay, so Rosen.
ADP, yeah.
Rosen ADP is going number 22 overall, which is the back end of the second round, pick 210 of the second round. Guys going around him: Kalen Ballage, DJ Chark, Traquan Smith, Naheem Hines. See, I like Rosen there in that spot. I don't know. I know
back in the
it's
setting.
only 3 or 4 picks after Mayfield's going, but the guys that are going around him, I'd feel more comfortable with Rosen than I would with a couple of guys that are going behind him.
But the point is, if you only have 1 second round pick and you have like the
Mhm.
two whatever, so you have the 209,
Then you don't have a third.
right? That you have to make the decision. Do I jump on one of these stud quarterbacks or supposed stud quarterbacks, or do I
Even if
wait?
you have a third, if it's the 309, like
Then you're not going to get him there either.
Yeah.
All right. Last but not least of the first round quarterbacks drafted.
One of the surprises of the draft,
Baltimore
right.
traded up.
right at the end, yeah.
Pick 32.
Philly traded out the last pick of the first round, and yeah, the Baltimore Ravens, they snag up Lamar Jackson out of Louisville, 6'2", about 216 pounds. Some said he should be a wide receiver. Some said they're crazy, that he's actually one of the best talents at the quarterback. Depends on where you get your information from. It's a little bit all over the board with Lamar Jackson. I side with the fact that this kid's good. He's going to be good. He's not just a run-around kind of guy. He can run, and that's, I think, the death blow he can deliver. But I don't think he looks to run. I think he's good, and he'll be very good in this league, I think.
I think he's going to be good as well, and he can't play any worse, in my opinion, than Joe Flacco the last few years. Like, you think, Flacco, because he won that Super Bowl against San Fran a few years back. But when you look up Joe Flacco's stats, like we were just looking at the other day, he's like finishing in the back end 20s as far as quarterbacks. Like, he's not even a quarterback 2 in some leagues.
Okay, who's been his receiving corps the last 3 years? Like who's he had? Jeremy Maclin's. He's had like Mike Wallace's. He's had second tier guy. Steve Smith. That was 2 years ago though. But okay,
He's had better
the
than,
last 2
better
years.
than Buffalo's had. He's had better than Buffalo Bills.
Okay, slightly. But Buffalo also has LaShawn McCoy in the backfield, and Baltimore has a bunch of just average guys, and Alex Collins and Buck Allen, and come on. So it's not like he's had the best receiving core around him. Now they have 3 brand new wide receivers coming in with the Crabtree. Who else? John Brown and somebody
Willie
else.
Snead.
Willie Snead. Yeah, it's a bunch. It's just a bunch of guys. I don't think, for me, Lamar Jackson is the highest bust potential out of the top 5 quarterbacks that were drafted in the first round, and it's not even close because if Flacco does step up his game just a little bit, that'll hold him off for another year or 2, and by then I just don't see where Lamar Jackson fits in an offense that's tailor-made for Joe Flacco. They're going to have to change the entire playbook, in my opinion, for Lamar Jackson. Obviously, the complete opposite of quarterback.
Well, let's
and
not
then you also
forget-
have Robert Griffin III there, which he might never get a chance to play, but that means that they have 2 quarterbacks behind Flacco that are both scrambling, can run quarterbacks, and then you have Joe Flacco as the complete opposite
So
of that.
what does that say? That says a lot to me. That
Right.
says that
That they want to change.
That's fine.
It says that you have the backup in RG3, who is a quarterback that you will not have to change the playbook for if something happens with Lamar Jackson, and he can slide right in and they can still run the same kind of stuff. I think time's taken away for Joe Flacco, and
Yeah.
you're asking him to step up and do things that he just hasn't done in the last. There's quarterbacks that have less than stellar talent that are able to kind of elevate their team and do some things like that. And since they won the Super Bowl, since he got paid, it's been pretty mediocrity at best.
But it also is because the Ravens, when he got paid and they went to the Super Bowl and they did all that stuff, the Ravens had a top 3 or top 2 defense with it was stacked and jacked, and it was tailor-made for Flacco to come in and not have to do much, but when he did do stuff, it was like, oh wow, he made a great throw, he made this, made that. It was never like, man, Joe Flacco's a top 5 quarterback. Even when he got the huge contract in fantasy football world, that was like, okay, like it's just Joe Flacco. It's not like it was Aaron Rodgers or one of these Andrew Luck types that was getting this big contract, and he's never been a great fantasy quarterback, but as far as like winning games, he always did it when he had a good defense behind him. And the Baltimore defense right now is just average, and they're getting older.
They're middle of the pack. Yeah, they're definitely middle of the pack.
I agree that they might have to move on from Flacco soon. I just don't know if Lamar Jackson is the answer to take over as like your franchise quarterback.
Well, they won't be cutting Flacco this year because
Right.
they still owe him all that money, but they can cut him at the start of the 2019 season, and it's not going to hit them in the cap. So that's obviously what their plan is going to be. They're going to try and start Flacco as long as they possibly can, but they know that Lamar Jackson is the quarterback of the future, and something makes me think that they brought in RG3 to kind of mentor him and guide him a little bit. They brought him in knowing that he's going to be the backup.
Yeah.
There's no way they told RG3 that he has a chance to start. There's no way.
I'm starting to really get off the mentor narrative
Mhm.
because it seems like it's thrown around so much, but then all of a sudden you got the quarterbacks that are there coming out basically saying, no, I'm not going to mentor this guy. I'm not going to help this guy.
Well, we'll get to that. We'll get to
I
that
think-
story in a second.
I think that's more something that we think is just a natural progression of the way things should go, but when is somebody coming in to take food off your plate? I mean, are you really going to just hand them your plate? So I think Lamar Jackson, honestly, in a rookie draft, I would take Lamar Jackson first before I would take any other quarterback.
Because of the running.
Rookies coming out.
Because of running?
That's part of it, but I also think he's a good quarterback.
See, I think the hype has gotten out of control on the Deshaun Watson, and everyone that saw what he did last season with DeAndre Hopkins and that whole crew of just annihilating for that 6 weeks. Fantasy-wise, he killed it. He ran, he threw, he racked up the points, let's just be honest. And I think everyone's kind of getting enamored with that whole Lamar Jackson, comparing him to like a Deshaun Watson type of quarterback, thinking that he's just going to come in for Baltimore and be a top 6 or 7 quarterback. I just don't see it yet. I think he's well behind.
Well, top 6 or 7 is pretty lofty. That's a pretty lofty number.
Do you think Watson will finish in the top 7 for quarterbacks, fantasy-wise, this season?
I think it's possible. I mean, it's definitely possible.
Do you ever see Lamar Jackson possibly being a top 7 quarterback?
Yeah, I do too. I have him as my second quarterback as far as rookies. I have him right behind Mayfield, but I have him ahead of Rosen.
Well, that's the reason the ADP. He is ahead. He's one spot only behind Baker Mayfield, going at number 20 overall, which would be the back end of the second round, right after Mayfield. So,
like, if it came down to my pick and Mayfield was gone, I wouldn't be upset that I had to take Jackson as a consolation prize if I'm looking to take a quarterback.
Wow, I guess you guys are a lot higher on him than I am. I guess that's what we learned today. All right, so next,
so that's the first round quarterbacks in this draft. There was none taken in the second round, so these last few won't spend as much time on because their impact will not be anywhere close, at least immediately, for this coming season, most likely. As the first ones that were taken in the first round. So
this guy's got a good narrative, though. I like this one.
The third round, there was one quarterback taken. It was taken by the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's Mason Rudolph out of Oklahoma State, prototypical size guy. When you look at him, you see him in interviews, he looks like he was chiseled from the quarterback mold.
Mm-hmm.
But can he be?
I love this guy. I thought this was perfect. I was hoping that Mason Rudolph either went to the Patriots or went to the Steelers. Both of them have aging quarterbacks that are about to retire within the next 2 to 3 seasons at the most. And I think that a big arm quarterback, this guy reminds me of a Roethlisberger, like his size. He's 235 pounds, he's 6'5". If you were to tell me that Ben Roethlisberger after 2 seasons retires, and you still have Antonio Brown who's going to be 31, and you still have the young receivers like Juju going into his second contract, and you still got guys like James Washington and Le'Veon Bell and that whole crew.
James Washington was a college teammate.
So if you're telling me that's going to be your starting core, and you throw in Mason Rudolph, I feel very good about him in the future going forward with the organization. And you know what? I think that he succeeds here no matter what.
And this is where this is gonna please you guys because this is the ultimate riding of the fence. Coming from me, so I know you guys love that narrative on it.
Straddle it.
I will straddle the fence on this because I see both sides of the argument as far as Ben Roethlisberger and as far as the Steelers picking Mason Rudolph. It's obviously a business. The Steelers are going to be a team after Ben Roethlisberger retires. It's not like all of a sudden they're just going to dissipate and the Steelers are going to disappear. So they have to bring in somebody that's going to kind of take over for Roethlisberger, whether it be 2 years from now, 3 years from now, whatever. They have to bring in somebody. Okay? And I see where Roethlisberger is coming from because he's like, hey, look, our window of opportunity of winning the Super Bowl is right now. The Patriots are on the downswing from what it looks like. Everyone's talking about how, all this, in locker room arguments and everything. This is our time to strike. He wanted someone that's going to help them win right now because he wants to go out on a championship. He wants to retire after a championship. So I see it where he's saying that they need more help. Why are you drafting a backup quarterback? But the Steelers are looking at it like, hey, you're 36 years old, and every single year in the offseason you talk about you're going to retire. We need to have a backup plan. And it's a business. It's not the Ben Roethlisbergers, it's the Steelers. So I see both sides of this argument. I think it was a great pick by them.
I think we're getting lost in the whole mentoring thing. For sure. Maybe a quarterback doesn't. Okay, but here's the thing. He says I'm not going to mentor him. Why would I do that? But okay, they're still. You've seen Hard Knocks before. Mm-hmm. You're still with the quarterbacks. Everything you do in the film room, in the game, in the weight room, and on the field, no matter what, it's those 3 or 4 guys or whatever are together 100% of the time. They room together, they stay together, they do everything together. So you don't have to mentor a guy by literally holding his hand. He's still going to be in the room with you, watching tape and learning what you're looking at. You don't have to help him. He's going to be there. If the guy wants to learn behind you, he's going to be next to you on your side. the whole entire way. So regardless if Roethlisberger says, I'm not going to do him any favors, it doesn't matter. Like, if the kid wants to learn behind Roethlisberger, he's going to learn behind him. He's going to see everything that Roethlisberger sees.
I don't necessarily agree with that.
How? If you're in, like, the film room, and the coach brings up, he's like, all right, Ben, what are you looking at here? You think he's going to be like, can we get Mason to get out of the room real quick?
Have you seen, like, guys that go in and do film on their own? Like,
But the quarterback's coach, that's his call to be like, no, the quarterbacks, let's go.
If a quarterback wants to go and do film study on his own, I'm sure if Ben wants to go and do film or come in early and watch film or do whatever, like, they're not handling.
That would be just, yeah.
Didn't Peyton Manning or some guys, like, they get there early and they're the ones working that extra time, that extra whatever. I don't think that's necessarily the case. Johnny Manziel talked about nobody helped me out. Like, basically,
that's
I was kind
Cleveland
of
Browns
there. Okay, yeah, but that only goes so far. Like, literally, if somebody doesn't want to help you and they don't want to go out of the way, they won't.
But he's like, I got there and Cody Kessler wouldn't let me in the locker room.
Yeah, like, if you're like, you're Cleveland, who was there that could have taught, like, player-wise?
It doesn't matter. The guy before you. If the guy before you is not willing to, like, hey, little tips and tricks, show you the ropes a little bit, that goes a long way, even if that guy's not a superstar. Like, if you get a job anywhere and your coworker doesn't be like, hey, this is kind of how it works, this is the best way to do this, this is probably...
Then you go to a manager, which is like, he'll go to the quarterback's coach or whatever and be like, hey, look, can you spend an extra hour helping me with the game film because Ben doesn't want to help me. Either way, if he wants to learn and he wants to succeed, there's ways to get around that.
I hear what you're saying, and yeah, but...
It just makes it easier.
Will that mean as much as the guy who's actually on the field doing those things?
After that guy came out and said that, I would say, F you, yeah, fine, I'm done, we're done. Bye. They're going to become best friends.
Bye.
Mason Rudolph, where is he going? ADP.
I'll say 4th round.
We're scrolling. There he is. Mason Rudolph is going number 41 off the board. So that would be 4th round pick 5. So guys going around Rudolph is Darius Fountain, Jordan Wilkins, the running back from Indianapolis, Auden Tate, Jalen Samuels, in that area. So, I mean...
There was probably, in any rookie draft that I'm in, if you're in it with me, there's probably a 5% chance that I would even ever contemplate taking Mason Rudolph. I would much rather have every guy you named at that point in the draft.
The thing that kind of sucks as far as dynasty drafts go is that you really don't know how long Roethlisberger is going to play. So if you take somebody like Mason Rudolph, who's sitting behind an absolute stud, you're definitely putting him on your taxi squad. If you can only put rookies on your taxi squad, now you have to bump them up in your 2nd year, and you're basically just waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting until Roethlisberger decides he's going to retire. Because this guy's never going to take his job. So that's that. I can see Travis's point. You're basically taking that pick, and you're going to sit and wait and wait and wait and wait. It's almost better to let somebody else take him, and then when he finally does get a shot, if you still want him that badly, now you try to trade for him.
And overpay.
Or you take him and...
That's bad advice. Don't overpay.
Yeah.
Or you take him and he just sits around
like
for
Jimmy
3 years.
Jimmy Garoppolo, that's what it reminds me of. Oh, he's a starter now? Okay, I want 2 first-round draft picks and you know what I'm saying? All right, get to the last guy here.
All right, 4th round, one quarterback was taken also. Kyle Lauletta, number 108 overall to the New York Giants to get behind Eli.
Love this spot,
I'll
too.
let you guys jump on this guy first.
I liked Lauletta coming out of college. I talked about him a lot.
Spider.
We were doing our rookie spotlights and everything like that about Richmond. I actually thought that this is somebody that the Chargers would look at as maybe an heir apparent to Phillip Rivers. They didn't end up drafting a backup quarterback, which gives the thumbs up to Rivers that, hey, this is your job and we're not bringing anybody even to compete, which is the exact opposite of what the Steelers did with Ben Roethlisberger. But I love this spot that he landed in because I think that Eli is, as we all know, on his last leg, his last toe. And Lauletta could come in, unlike Davis Webb, which I don't think is going to do anything in the NFL, besides being maybe a career backup. But I think that Lauletta is somebody that could come in, learn the system, prototypical size, 6'3", 222 pounds. He's got a good core around him with Saquon Barkley now. He's got Odell Beckham.
In 2 years, let's say, if he does become the starter, Barkley will definitely still be there. Beckham will definitely still be there. Evan Ingram will definitely still be there. That's a great start. And if they could just work on their offensive line a little bit, I think that whoever comes after Eli Manning should have a great opportunity to succeed with the weapons that are around him. But I think Lauletta in college, I think everyone was talking about how good he was and how much of an NFL style that they ran and like how much of a NFL, like prototypical size, speed, everything as what you want in your quarterback. I think that Eli Manning just like Peyton Manning spends a lot of time in the film room, spends a lot of time breaking down stuff, and like is one of those guys that is you definitely want to learn from. Again, we're assuming that no one does anyone else favors here, but if he did, it would only help Kyle Lauletta and the future of the Giants. Maybe Eli's one of those guys that's like, hey, I've been a Giant my entire career. They've been great to me. I'm not going to screw them by not mentoring this guy, and maybe kind of play that little role if I'm the coach. Like, hey man, look, I know you're a Giants fan. Your job's secure. You ain't going nowhere. You're our starter for the next 2 seasons. Just be nice to this kid and help him along a little bit. You're not going anywhere. Your job is secure.
I think the one thing he's going to learn from him that I would like to see him learn is just leadership. I think if Eli Manning has nothing else, he has that leadership. He has the locker room. As evidence you saw last year when they tried to bench him.
Yeah.
The one game and ended his streak, even though they were nowhere near the playoffs, and they brought in Geno Smith, who everyone knows is terrible, and you still brought him in for no reason, basically.
And he took it on the chin and said, yeah, give this guy another chance.
He was upset about it, but he's like, whatever.
He could have made it a lot worse.
He could have. And the whole locker room was behind Eli. Like, they were pretty mad about it.
But that head coach is gone, correct?
He's gone.
So he's gone. All those guys are gone. I'm pretty sure they're comfortable saying Eli's going to be their starter for the next season or two. So there shouldn't be any kind of friction between the two guys, but I think Lauletta landed in a great spot. And having such a young core, you can't fail. They're setting him up.
He's going to be drafted probably after Mason Rudolph in ADP in rookie leagues, but he probably has a faster track to starting than Mason Rudolph does.
I think it's the same.
Yeah, it's very, very close, I think, as well. But who knows? You never know.
How old is Eli? 36? Roethlisberger's 36. Is Eli 37?
They've got to be pretty close because they all, Rivers, Roethlisberger, and Eli Manning all got drafted the same draft, so they're got to be all within a year.
Okay.
See, this is I think it helps that he wasn't drafted high.
Right.
Like, if you bring in a quarterback and he's drafted, 4th, 5th, 6th round, there's not a whole lot to be worried about. As the starter, I think it's just that's one of those things they do. They bring in guys, but if they draft them high, then that says a lot too from the organization. So I think Eli shouldn't feel any pressure, and it's probably a different kind of relationship than the Big Ben and Mason Rudolph kind of deal.
Yeah, Lauletta is going at number 56 overall in ADP rookie drafts. 56 would be what, 5th round, 4th round, 36.
56 is the back end of the 5th.
Okay, so. Again, he might not get drafted in some leagues. I think that in ours, because there's only 5 quarterbacks ahead of him, he might get drafted in the 5th round. That's actually pretty good.
Only? That's a lot.
What?
5 ahead of him.
In 5 rounds, though, that's 50 something.
Start 1, though. That's quite a bit.
True.
It's a dart throw. It's a dart throw at the end. If you
in the 5th round, it is anyway. Guys going around him: Akram Wadley, Trey Quinn, Simi Cobbs, Alan Lazard. Chase Edmonds. There's actually a lot of guys around him that I would prefer.
That probably have a faster track to be relevant to your team.
Correct.
Okay, so there any other guys drafted in the draft that you want to talk about? Mike White, Luke Falk, Tanner Lees, Magoo's?
I just want to say Alex Magoo because it's fun to say.
You just did.
I think Luke Falk.
And now I'm happy.
Luke Falk, I like going to Tennessee. They didn't really have much behind Mariota.
But what do you like?
If something
Mariota,
if something happens to Mariota, I think that Luke Falk would be a decent replacement for him. I don't think he's anything great. He definitely is not going to be fighting for the starting job anytime soon. But I just think that landing spot wise, there was no one there behind Mariota. Now I feel at least if Mariota did go down, that Falk could come in for a game or two and do halfway decent. I don't even know who the quarterback was before that.
Probably not something you're really putting the chip down.
No, I'm not, and I'm not drafting him.
Was it Charlie Whitehurst or something? Was it?
Lord Jesus!
Probably, probably.
Talking about career backups.
Johnny Appleseed, for all I care.
That's the best job in the world, man.
That's what I would think, but these guys, man, they want to be starters. I
gotta play? Wait a second.
I haven't thrown a ball in 2 years. Yeah. They got a lot of cartilage.
Right before we end, because I know we're getting high on time there, Danny Etling. Do the Patriots take him in the 7th round? Does anybody feel like...
Let's hear it, bro.
Does anybody feel like Bill Belichick just threw a dart and been like, hey, I think we need to take a quarterback here? And he's like, just whatever. Just do whatever.
I'll bet you that he's like a wide receiver. I bet you they try to use him in the meantime as something else. Like a wide receiver, a tight end, like some specialty type of guy. That's how the Patriots are. Watch.
Who have they done that with?
Who haven't they done that with?
Well, Edelman was a quarterback at Kansas.
Exactly.
Okay, but he wasn't drafted to be
Troy Brown.
Troy Brown did play defense.
Thank you.
He was a receiver.
Is there anybody else you want me to name on top of that?
What they do with Garoppolo? What did he do?
Well,
Like,
that
this
was
guy
different because he's a
drafted-
prototypical
He
quarterback.
was too handsome to get his face messed
Yeah,
up. He's
he-
playing quarterback. He doesn't.
Gucci Garop.
Yeah, he's too
I like the
handsome
fact
for
that he was cheering for the San Jose Sharks, and he opened the door and kicked off the San Jose Sharks game when the Knights beat them.
Go Knights, go!
Yeah. Sorry, bro.
We'll
all
talk
nights, all day.
We'll talk about the Knights on a different episode.
VGK.
All right. Anything else we want to add to the quarterbacks? We will
No.
We'll hit the running backs, I believe, next week, and
Yes.
go a little bit deeper than 6 or 7 quarterbacks because
We're
these
gonna
guys,
hit the running back pipe next week.
yeah, these guys have a chance to play.
Some of these guys are going to be pretty high in your rookie drafts.
We'll have to go quicker on the running backs because there's a lot to talk about there.
Well, let's book it. You guys
Let's
want to
crack
crack one?
Let's crack it.
Yeah, you hate Lamar, huh?
Yeah.